feel it. The pull toward each other that never fully goes away, no matter how much time passes or how much silence sits between you. And yet, here you are, not together. Not because the love isn't real, but because fear has built a wall that neither of you knows how to climb. What you are carrying right now is one of the most painful human experiences that psychology recognizes, and yet almost no one speaks about it honestly. You know what you want. You know who you want. And somewhere beneath every carefully chosen word and every held-back message, you believe they feel it too. That feeling is not delusion. It is not wishful thinking. Psychology shows us that when two people share a genuine emotional bond, the awareness of that bond does not simply disappear. It lives in the nervous system. It shows up in your body before your mind has even finished processing what you are feeling. What you sense between you, what you have always sensed, is your emotional intelligence speaking, and it deserves to be honored. Here is what psychology understands about this moment you are living. When two people want the same thing but cannot find their way to each other, it is almost never about a lack of feeling. Research into attachment theory, the science of how human beings bond, reach, and connect, shows us something profound. The very people who feel the most deeply are often the ones who are most afraid to say it out loud, not because they do not mean it, but because they mean it so completely that the idea of losing it feels unbearable. Fear is not born from indifference. Fear is born from caring so fully that the stakes feel impossibly, terrifyingly high. This is what makes the silence between two people who love each other so impossibly loud. Think about what is happening inside you right now. You want to reach out, but something stops you. You want to say the words, but they sit in your throat like stones. You replay conversations, moments where something almost happened, where the air between you shifted, where eyes held a second longer than they needed to. You notice every small thing, the way they looked at you, the way they paused before they spoke, the way a single message from them can change the entire feeling of your day. That is not obsession. That is attunement. That is your heart recognizing someone it considers significant. And the reason it hurts so much is because the connection is real, the kind of real that does not arrive often and does not leave quietly. Now imagine what is happening on the other side of that silence. And psychology asks you to do this, not as an exercise, but as an act of understanding. They are not unmoved. People who are truly unmoved do not linger. They do not show up in small, consistent ways. They do not remember what you barely mentioned. They do not find reasons to stay close when walking away would cost them nothing. If someone keeps returning to you through messages, through glances, through the particular way they soften when you are near, that is not casual behavior. That is a heart trying to maintain its connection to yours without yet knowing how to say so out loud. Fear is speaking through their silence, the same way fear is speaking through yours. You are both doing the same thing, protecting what you cannot afford to lose. Psychologists call this the approach avoidance conflict. Two people drawn powerfully toward each other, both retreating at the exact moment that vulnerability would be required. You step forward, they pull back. They reach closer and you hold yourself painfully still. Not because either of you does not want this, but because both of you are desperately protecting the very thing you are most afraid to lose. And the cruel irony, the thing that makes this particular pain so sharp, is that the fear designed to protect the connection is the very thing creating the distance between you. The wall feels like safety, but it is the wound. Beneath that fear, if you are willing to look honestly, there are layers worth understanding. There is the fear of rejection, of reaching toward someone and finding that what you felt was not mutual in the way you believed. There is the fear of being too much, of wanting so fully and so openly that your wanting itself becomes the thing that drives them away. There is the fear of being wrong, of opening yourself entirely, making yourself completely seen, and discovering you misread everything. And there is perhaps the most specific and most painful fear of all, the fear of disrupting what already exists between you, that fragile, undefined, beautiful thing that at least keeps them present in your life. You would rather hold them in partial form than risk losing them entirely. Psychology sees you in that fear. It understands exactly why you stay behind the wall. Those fears are not weakness. They are not evidence that something is broken in you or beyond repair. Psychology shows us clearly that these protective patterns form in direct proportion to how deeply we care. The deeper the bond, the higher the stakes, the louder the fear. That every person who has ever wanted something genuine has stood exactly where you are standing right now, on the edge of something real, unable to move, terrified to stay still. The universe does not bring two people to the threshold of something this significant and then ask them to feel nothing about it. What you feel has weight. What you feel has reason. And the fact that it will not leave you, no matter how many times you try to rationalize it away, is its own kind of answer. Well, what psychology also asks us to consider is this: fear is temporary. Fear is a response, not a verdict. It rises when the heart is fully invested, and it has no idea that the thing it is protecting you from is actually the thing you most need. Fear tells you that silence is safer. Fear tells you that the wall is shelter. But love, real love, the kind that registers in the nervous system and changes the quality of your breathing, does not ask for forever silence. It asks only for honesty. And somewhere inside you, beneath the fear, you already know what honesty feels like. Staying behind the wall does not keep you safe. It keeps you in a particular kind of pain, the pain of almost, the quiet, relentless ache of wondering. The cost of watching something rare exist in the space between two people who both want to cross it, and neither of whom can find the first step. What psychology tells us again and again is that the cost of prolonged silence in matters of deep feeling is rarely safety. It is the slow, quiet disappearing of something that was always waiting to become more. You deserve more than almost. You deserve more than wondering what could have been if one of you had been brave enough to say it first. You deserve to stand in the full truth of what you feel, and to know without apology that your heart was never wrong for feeling it. Your worth is not measured by whether they find the courage to speak what you both already know. Your worth is not held in suspension, waiting for someone else's fear to quiet enough for them to finally choose you. The longing you carry, that ache of certainty, that quiet knowing that refuses to leave, is not your weakness. That is your depth. That is the part of you that loves without performance and feels without permission. And it is one of the most extraordinary things about you. You were never too much. You were never too open, too hopeful, or too certain about something that genuinely mattered. Loving deeply, even when the timing is broken, even when fear speaks louder than love, was never a mistake. You were never the problem. What exists between you has nothing to do with your value and everything to do with two frightened human hearts trying to protect themselves. Your worth exists entirely apart from how this moment unfolds. It always has. You deserve to be chosen, not tolerated, not kept nearby as a possibility, not loved quietly in ways that never quite reach the surface. Chosen, fully, now, with words, with presence, with someone who is willing to be afraid and still reach toward you. That is what you deserve. And knowing that, truly knowing that, not just hearing it, is the beginning of something that fear cannot touch. Now, if something in this video reached a truth you have been carrying quietly, something you have felt but perhaps never heard, named this clearly, hit that like button and join the Psychology Wisdom family. Subscribe so that the next insight finds you exactly when you need it, before you even knew you were searching. What you feel is real, and you have never been alone in feeling it.